the most important number one tip is to keep it simple. I think the worst thing people do when they get into raw food is they buy a really complicated cookbook by a professional chef. They assume that they need to emulate that kind of food. They spend hours and hours trying to dehydrate something, and then what they end up with is one meal that took them hours. They get extremely discouraged and they think to themselves, how could I ever sustain this every day? And that's a completely normal thing to wonder if you've spent 10 hours creating a meal. I always tell people, don't focus on dehydrated food, don't focus on fancy raw entrees, focus on the simple stuff, the soups, the salads, the smoothies, the blended salads, as I like to call them, just really, really simple raw soups, and enjoy that and see how you feel. And if you want something cooked that's a little bit more complicated, go ahead and just cook it. Don't think that you have to scheme for 20 hours about how to recreate it in a dehydrator. Just enjoy yourself, and keep it simple. And I think that, you know, the same could really be true, could be said of going vegan. Just keep it simple. Focus on things that are accessible at first. Don't get overly ambitious with your food. And, you know, just take things one step at a time. I think my favorite motto for people who are new to the lifestyle is add first, subtract later. So don't necessarily think about everything you're sacrificing to be vegan or raw. Think about all the new things you're adding to your diet and your life that taste delicious and are wonderful and rewarding. And if you look at it that way, it really never feels like a project or a task that you're trying to complete. It feels like something that you're doing organically and really enjoying. As far as raw goes, no. I don't think it's important to be 100% raw. I think that a lot of people don't actually thrive on a 100% raw diet, and they're afraid to admit that to themselves, so they end up spending a lot of time not feeling their best, when in fact if they ate some cooked grains or beans, they would actually feel terrific. And I think that it's a shame that people feel such pressure to be 100% raw. That's just my personal outlook on it. And from everything I understand in the scientific literature, it's perfectly okay to enjoy cooked foods to whatever degree you want and need them. As far as being 100% vegan goes, I think it's a different story. To me, veganism isn't just about me and my body and how I feel. It's about animals and their well-being and their welfare. So to me, you know, I can eat whatever percentage of raw I want. That's my choice, and it's about my body and how I feel. When it comes to eating vegan, that's about other living beings and how they feel and the pain that they experience. So to me, I always tell people I'm 100% vegan, and I'm as raw as I need and want to be. It can be a real tension sometimes. I mean, I think that my lifestyle is really surprising to a lot of my professors and to a lot of my fellow pre-med students who aspire to be doctors. I think what I've tried to do is not even tell people too much, but simply to lead by example. I think my peers see that I'm extremely energetic and extremely happy. I think they see that I am really excited about everything I eat, and I think they see results. Like, I think they see someone who does a lot with her life and doesn't have very much time and still manages to thrive and feel really well. And I think that in addition to all of that, our culture is changing sufficiently that people are much more open now, even in the medical community, which is still traditional in a lot of ways, than they were 3 or 4 years ago. So I've taken advantage of that window, and I really do try to talk to people more just about the basics of plant-based nutrition. And sometimes I am able to talk to a professor about it, and sometimes I'm not. But for every time I am able, I just consider that a triumph. I see a regular MD, and I get normal blood work once a year. The only things that I ask to be specially looked at is my B12, which has always been normal because I've always supplemented. So yeah, it's never been a problem. I think most people should get their blood work once a year at least and see what's up, and that vegans should ask for B12 and possibly vitamin D to be checked. That is such a good question. I think I would have told myself not to make my first real meal a dehydrator required raw pizza. I think I would have told myself that it's okay not to love green smoothies because I spent like 2 years obsessing about the fact that I don't really love green smoothies, but if you eat a ton of greens, it's okay not to put them in your morning drink. And I think I would have told myself to start my blog even sooner because it's been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. www.choosingraw.com